I stood atop the Empire State Building. I could see the Statue of Liberty illuminating the gateway to the New World. As I stepped to the telescope and dropped in my dime, immediately the ticking started again. Suddenly, as the Spirit of the Lord came upon me, the fog seemed to clear, until it seemed that I could see for thousands of miles. But that which I was looking upon was not Manhattan Island. It was all of the North American continent spread out before me as a map spread out upon a table. Instead of the Statue of Liberty standing there in the bay on her small island, I saw her standing far out in the Gulf of Mexico. Suddenly from the sky I saw a giant hand reach down. A gigantic hand was reaching out towards the Statue of Liberty. In a moment her gleaming torch was torn from her hand, and in its place was placed a cup. And I saw protruding from that great cup a giant sword, shining as if a great light had been turned upon its glistening edge. As the great cup was placed in the hand of the Statue of Liberty, I heard these words: "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Drink ye and be drunken, spew and fall and rise no more, because of the sword which I will send." Then suddenly the giant hand forced the cup to the lips of the Statue of Liberty, and she became powerless to defend herself. The mighty hand of God forced her to drink every drop from the cup. As she drank the bitter dregs, these were the words that I heard: "Should you be utterly unpunished?" Then as I watched, another amazing thing was taking place. Far to the northwest, just over Alaska, a huge black cloud was arising in the shape of a skull. It seemed that what I saw was the entire North American continent spread out like a map upon a table. With this terrible skeleton arising from behind the table, it seemed to bend towards the United States, stretching forth a hand towards the east and one towards the west. I knew its only interest was to destroy the multitudes. As I watched in horror, the great black cloud stopped just above the Great Lakes region and turned its face towards New York City. Then out of the horrible, great gaping mouth began to appear wisps of vapor. These wisps of vapor were being blown towards New York City and all the eastern parts of the United States. Then the skeleton turned towards the west, and out of the horrible mouth and nostrils came another great puff of white smoke. This time it was blown to the entire west coast and Los Angeles area. Then towards the center of the nation came a third puff of smoke in St. Louis, in Kansas City, New Orleans, until it reached the Statue of Liberty, where she stood staggering drunkenly in the blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Then I heard the voice of God, as he spoke again: "Behold, the Lord maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest; as with the servant, so with his master; as with the buyer, so with the seller; as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him." The statue was moaning and groaning. She was in mortal agony. I watched her in the gulf as she staggered, clutching her lungs and her breast with her hands. Then she fell to her knees in a moment. She gave one final cough and made a last desperate effort to rise from her knees, and then fell face forward into the waters of the gulf and lay still as death.